Hey, how long do you plan on letting me support you, huh? Is it okay for you to be spoiled like that? Being carried on my back? I'm not kind enough to let a parasite like you linger.
He used to say things like this in the past, and my husband ended up taking an unbelievable action.
I've decided to take an early retirement.
Huh?
Let's live happily together with your savings from now on.
I had reached my limit. I told my husband the truth. You seem to have some misunderstanding. My husband turned pale after hearing my words.
No way. That can't be.
My name is Kate, a 23-year-old office worker. It's been a year since I started working for the company I started working for after college. It's a busy job with a lot to learn. After a year had passed, I finally started to enjoy work. And in my private life, things were also beginning to be fulfilling. I got a boyfriend through a friend's introduction. I think it's a great match for you, Kate. That's how my friend introduced me to Thomas.
Nice to meet you. I'm Thomas.
The reason my friend and Thomas got to know each other was that they were both board game enthusiasts. My friend also started participating because of her boyfriend. It's been about 3 years now since Thomas and I became friends. I think someone like you, Kate, is more compatible with someone older. Thomas is 3 years older than you and works for a major company just like us. I showed him a picture of you and he said you were adorable.
Huh? Wait, don't say that.
No, you should tell her properly.
But I don't want people to think I'm flirtatious.
Don't worry, they won't think you're flirtatious or anything with those serious-looking glasses. I laughed watching the exchange between my friend and Thomas. He was easygoing enough to be teased by younger friends. I really liked him. Since then, he and I started meeting just the two of us. After work, we went for meals, and he looked really good in a suit. You look even more serious in a suit.
Really? Well, I'm glad if it doesn't seem flashy at least.
It doesn't look flashy. I can also tell from the way you talk and your vibe that you're serious. Today's restaurant looks really nice, doesn't it?
Really? I'm glad if you're happy. It's an Italian restaurant that I've been to before, and it was delicious. I thought of taking you there, Kate.
That sounds great. The restaurant he took me to was really delicious. The atmosphere was nice, and we had a lovely time talking to each other. We had a good sense of compatibility, and spending time together talking was enjoyable and wonderful. Then, we went on several dates, and got closer and closer. Since we grew closer, we decided to go out. I'm happy that you two are together. Make sure to invite me to the wedding. Oh no, it's too early for marriage. Really? I feel like you two might get married. Being told that by a friend, I imagined our married life. Indeed, it seemed like every day would be enjoyable. But for this to work, both of our feelings had to be in sync. Even so, I continued the relationship, hoping to marry him someday. After about 3 years, he proposed to me.
Even after 3 years with you, Kate, I still want to be together forever. So, will you marry me?
Yes. Thank you very much. I was incredibly happy when he proposed to me. And so we decided to get married. We quickly went to meet each other's parents. Everything went smoothly, and we were able to have a wedding ceremony. Many friends and colleagues attended, making us very happy. The friend who introduced us was moved to tears. I'm glad we could share our happy moments with our friends. After a memorable wedding, we went on our honeymoon and started living together after returning. My newlywed life with him was very enjoyable. We spent very happy days off together, going for drives and trips. Then about a year after getting married, we had a child. We were blessed with a cute son. My husband and I named him Luke. Luke had adorable round eyes. Due to the pregnancy, I decided to quit my job. My husband insisted on working hard to support us. He expressed his desire for me to take care of household matters.
I'll do my best at work. I think it's about time to entrust the household to you, Kate.
Huh? Okay. I felt uneasy about my husband's tone. It seemed as if he was declaring that he wouldn't contribute to housework or childcare. Feeling anxious, I quit my job to prepare for childbirth. Unfortunately, my concerns turned out to be valid. My husband stopped helping with housework, citing that I was always at home. Even though I became a full-time housewife by quitting my job, there were times during pregnancy when I couldn't manage household chores due to poor health. Sometimes I couldn't even get up in the morning. In such situations, my husband would scold me with a stern expression.
Hey, you're a full-time housewife, so why are you oversleeping?
Sorry, I'm not feeling well.
Don't make excuses. When you say not feeling well, do you mean you have a fever of around 104 degrees Fahrenheit? Do you need to go to the hospital urgently?
No, it's not like that. But...
Then don't say you're not feeling well. You're just being naive.
Oh, come on. My husband unjustly got angry at me like that. It seems he couldn't forgive that breakfast wasn't prepared. But sometimes morning sickness makes me really sick. Cooking during those times was also tough. My husband never understood that. I knew there was nothing I could say to my husband. So when I was struggling during the day, I sought help from my mother. Fortunately, my parents' house was about a 10-minute drive from our home, so it was easy for my mother to come over. She took over the kitchen for me, preparing a lot of pre-made dishes. She also prepared items that could be stored in the freezer, so when I wasn't feeling well and couldn't cook, I just had to warm up the frozen dishes. That's how I survived my pregnancy chores. I didn't think my husband would behave this badly, but still, I figured that would change once the baby was born. When our child was born, my husband was very happy, and I thought he would cooperate in parenting. However, my expectations were quickly betrayed. When I returned home after giving birth with our son, my husband pointed to the piled-up laundry and ordered me to take care of all the chores.
Do all the chores that piled up while you were in the hospital. Mom was here the other day, but couldn't come the day before yesterday and yesterday, so the laundry and cleaning haven't been done. Also, I'm hungry, so make something.
Thomas said this and plopped onto the sofa. He didn't seem to have any intention of soothing our son or helping with the housework. I sighed, moved our son to the crib after putting him to sleep, and then made lunch for my husband. After eating the pasta I made, my husband didn't bother to put the dishes away and lay down on the sofa, turning on the TV without lowering the volume. The noise woke up our son. Luke just woke up because of the loud TV. Can you lower the volume?
Huh? Why do I have to take orders from you?
Luke got startled by the TV sound.
Then you comfort him and make him stop crying.
But I have to do the laundry and cleaning now.
Then do the housework while carrying him. I want to watch this show.
Jeez. My husband never listened to my requests at all. Judging from this, he probably won't help with parenting either. I quickly gave up and did housework while carrying our son. Sometimes he cried, so I stopped doing chores to comfort him. Once he stopped crying, I resumed the housework, and this cycle continued. Meanwhile, my husband watched the TV the whole time. Moreover, when I glanced at him, he was sleeping on the sofa. This made no sense if he was just going to sleep while the TV was on. It was a waste of electricity. Irritated, I turned off the TV. My husband was sound asleep on the sofa. I thought about punching his face, but divorce or anything like that wasn't on my mind back then. It was still within 2 years of marriage, and our child had just been born. I hoped my husband would change someday, but there was no sign of that. As a result, I raised our child and managed the house by myself. It was tough, but no matter how difficult it was, I somehow got used to it by continuing. I decided to do everything by myself, finding ways to balance childcare and housework. I never let my husband complain about it. I always woke up early to prepare breakfast and made well-balanced meals with a variety of dishes for dinner. My husband never expressed dissatisfaction, but when our son turned 3, my husband suddenly said something like this.
How long do you plan on having me support you?
Huh?
Is it okay for you to be spoiled like that, being carried on my back? Not kind enough to let a parasite like you linger.
I couldn't believe my ears. Originally, it was my husband who wanted me to stay at home. So what does it mean for him to now tell me to work?
Do you feel no shame relying solely on my income for our livelihood? My burden is too much. I want you to get a part-time job, and once Luke starts kindergarten, you'll have time to work too.
My husband has said selfish things like that. Fine, I understand. I was actually thinking of saving a bit more.
Huh? Are you saying my income is insufficient?
I didn't say it was insufficient, just that it's normal.
What?
My husband's face turned bright red, furious. But at this point, it was about time for me to speak up. I couldn't accept just being told what to do by my husband without saying anything.
I work for a large corporation, you know.
But since we got married, your salary hasn't increased even once. When it was just the 2 of us, we can barely manage, but with a child, we need to cut back. Otherwise, our life will become difficult in no time.
Huh. That's because you're bad at managing the household budget. Just find a job quickly.
After saying that, my husband went to his room. I didn't expect him to behave so badly. But I was pissed off too, so I got a part-time job in an office. The company was close to my house. There was very little impact on parenting and housework. I covered expenses like groceries and utilities with my earnings. Of course, I also practiced frugality, so our life became quite comfortable. However, amid all this, my husband started spending money selfishly on his hobbies. He bought a new computer for gaming and even spent hundreds on a chair. I couldn't tolerate such reckless spending. It's pointless for you to indulge yourself like this.
Oh, I'm the main breadwinner supporting the family, you know? It's okay to spend a little money on hobbies.
It's not a little. Don't spend money like you did when you were single or recently married.
Shut up. Then you work more hours.
If I do that, I won't have time for housework and childcare.
That's just an excuse.
My husband and I were having more and more fights like this. With my husband being reckless, I had no choice but to desperately save money. The only salvation was that our son grew up to be a very kind child. He grew rapidly and progressed through elementary and junior high school in the blink of an eye. During this time, he never rebelled. Instead, he always cared for me. Mom, I'll help. I'll hang the laundry. Oh, thank you. Should I cut these ingredients? No, you don't have to help with that. It's fine, Mom. I always see you working hard, so let me lighten your load. Luke, thank you. I was incredibly happy with my son's kindness. Thanks to his kindness, I could endure my husband's terrible attitude. I decided to do my best so that my son could successfully go to college. My husband wasn't exactly well paid, but without my husband's income, it's pretty hard to pay my son's tuition. I had made up my mind to be patient until my son was older. My son worked hard in his studies, got into a good high school, and continued to achieve excellent results. He had the academic ability to aim for a good university. I admired his daily efforts. One thing that bothered me was my husband's comments about our son's achievements being due to inheriting his genes. My son has achieved what he has through his own efforts, not just because of his father's genes. It was irritating to hear him claim credit for our son's achievements without acknowledging the effort put in. Well, I refrained from pointing out those things to avoid arguments, but afterward, my son successfully got into his first choice university. I truly believed that he had worked hard. Even after entering university, he diligently earned credits, started preparing for job hunting early, and eventually secured a job before graduating from university. Before I knew it, time flew by and my son became a working adult. All the while, my opinion of my husband remained unchanged. He continued to delegate everything, be it about our child, household chores, or anything else entirely to me. Both my son and I had stopped expecting anything from my husband. Later on, my son started working as a professional. Even after becoming a working adult, he lived at home for a while. If you have the opportunity, you should live on your own and enjoy the freedom.
It's fine. Besides, it would be tough with just you and Dad, right?
No, it's not right to make you worry about that.
It's okay. I want to save money too. I do plan to live on my own in the future, but for now, I'll stay at home.
Thank you, Luke. My son is truly a good kid. But still, I felt sorry for making him worry like that. So I made an effort to initiate communication with my husband as much as possible. I thought that if our relationship as a couple improved, our son would feel more at ease. It seems that my husband, perhaps surprisingly, was happy because I made an effort to improve our relationship and engaged in various conversations with him. And my husband started communicating with me as well. While it may not be like the early days of our marriage, the fact that we've continued our married life for over 20 years is something to be happy about. It's delightful that we've become close again. I wonder if our son also feels relieved. He mentioned wanting to move out and rent a place of his own.
You know, I've been thinking about living together with my girlfriend.
Really? That's great. How long have you been dating?
It's been almost a year. I'm considering marriage in the future.
That's wonderful. You should move in together soon. I'll be fine, and your dad and I are getting along well.
That's a relief.
I was actually delighted to hear that my son has someone special in his life. After that, he moved out and started living with his girlfriend. He's already 27, so it wouldn't be surprising if they got married. I was excited at the thought of attending my son's wedding in the near future. My relationship with my husband wasn't bad. Despite ups and downs, we had been together for many years. I was beginning to think we would spend the rest of our lives together. However, about a year later, something happened that would disillusion me with my husband once again. The trigger was the death of my father. A few years ago, my mother passed away, and my father lived alone in our family home. Recently, his health had been deteriorating, and he had been in and out of the hospital. I was deeply worried. Eventually, my father's condition worsened, and he passed away while hospitalized. I was devastated. My father had always been my emotional support. He was kind-hearted and took care of me, always considerate. My son also loved my father dearly. Both my son and I couldn't stop crying at the funeral. However, during the funeral, my husband made a surprising statement.
Speaking of which, your father was a landlord, right? So he had quite an estate, huh?
Huh? Why are you bringing this up out of the blue?
I'm talking about the inheritance. It's an important matter, isn't it? Since you're the only daughter, you inherit all of the estate, right?
Can we not talk about the inheritance right now? I'm mourning my father's death, and I want to bid him a proper farewell.
What's with the anger? I thought this was an important discussion.
If you think this is an appropriate time to bring up inheritance, then you're mistaken.
Huh? I think it's a perfectly appropriate time.
If you really think so, then it's absurd. During the important funeral of my father, my husband and I ended up having a fight. My son intervened and separated us, putting an end to the argument. However, my feelings towards my husband suddenly turned cold. I thought we had finally built a good relationship, but in the end, my husband was still only thinking about himself. And so, amidst the awkwardness, my husband and I spent our days. I couldn't leave the house immediately, so I endured these days patiently. However, in the midst of this, an unexpected event occurred. I was remembering something my husband once told me. He used to say things like,
"How long do you plan to let me support you?"
He used to say things like this in the past, and then he took unbelievable actions.
I retired early, Kate.
Huh? At first, I couldn't understand what he said. Why did you retire early?
From now on, let's live happily and comfortably with your savings.
Saying that, my husband lay down on the sofa. I had had enough. My savings, you mean to say you're going after my inheritance, right?
Going after? That's ridiculous. It's our money.
My husband started saying such things. I informed him of a certain fact. You seem to be misunderstanding something. The inheritance won't go to you, you know.
Huh? What are you talking about? It's common assets, isn't it?
Enough already. I don't know what you're misunderstanding, but I've realized that continuing our married life is difficult. Let's get a divorce.
Huh? Divorce?
Yes, I don't want to live with you anymore.
Then, as part of the property division, hand over half of the inheritance you received.
So, how many times do I have to say that you're wrong? My father's inheritance is not subject to property division.
Huh?
Upon hearing my words, my husband turned pale.
No way. It can't be. It should go to me, right?
No, it's all mine. Besides, the inheritance will be split evenly between me and Luke. Dad's inheritance belongs to both me and Luke.
Then let's cancel the divorce.
No, if you refuse the divorce, I'll fight in court.
Court?
My husband was frightened by the mention of court. Finally realizing that I was serious, he reluctantly agreed to the divorce. So we ended up divorcing. However, my ex-husband didn't fully understand that I had been saving money all along. In addition, he didn't really understand that I had been working full-time to support the family since my son was in high school. Due to that, although his household income significantly decreased all at once, it seems he continued his extravagant spending habits, causing money to rapidly disappear. With minimal savings and a reduced income, maintaining the previous spending habits would result in a rapid deficit. My ex-husband ended up in debt, facing financial hardship. And now that his son has cut him off, he has no one to turn to. It's all the result of his own actions. Truly ironic. On the other hand, I started living in my father's inherited home. With permission to remodel, I transformed the aging house into a comfortable haven. The house has been transformed into a very comfortable home. I'm currently enjoying peaceful and serene days. My son recently got engaged to his girlfriend, and they came to share the news. While celebrating their marriage, I take pride in my son's admirable growth. Moving forward, I aim to enrich my own life while caring for my son and his wife.